I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for joining us today, Abimbola Bodude. It's good to have you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good to have you too. Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome everyone to another session of Thriving Thursday. For those who are joining us for the first time, this is that part of the week where you get to join a live session where you have me or another faculty member or a special guest like we have today, who will be sharing a tip that we've learned or we've kind of put into practice that has helped us to thrive, and that you can also consider thriving. And that's the reason why we call it Thriving Thursday, because we believe very much that, I believe very much in this concept that the way God has designed things is that wherever you are, and the way I always say it is this: in whatever season or space you find yourself in, you can thrive. That means that it takes just tapping into everything that you have currently for you to really get to that place of saying, I'm thriving. Of course, thriving would differ, for everyone. And today we're going to be hearing Bimbo's perspective on thriving as well. But that is exactly what you get on Thriving Thursdays. I am FolaFayo. I'm the perception shaper. And what I do is to help people to transition from one level to the next. Of course, most likely a better level, a level where you can experience more, or to transition from one season to another in their life with ease using the Thriving Code. And now, if you've not got your own free download of the Thriving Code, you want to get that. It's basically a 4-step process that can help you to transition with ease in any space you find yourself in. And you can get that access on the polishedlens.com. Again, I'm FolaFayo, the perception shaper, and I'm delighted to have with us today Abimbola Bodude. Now, if you've been on Thriving Thursday before, you would know that I probably say a few things at the beginning and then, share some tips. But when we have a guest like this, we always ask them to please tell us about themselves. So I'm not going to tell you anything about Bimbola tonight. I'm not going to read any bio. I'm not going to read any CV resume. She's going to tell us all that about herself. And I'm excited to have her. Now, before we go into hearing the gist she has for us today, let me just let you in on a secret. This week happens to be Bimbola's special week. Earlier in the week, she clocked 40. So we're excited to have you on the 4th floor. I can tell you that those of us that have been here for a bit, we've seen God's amazing grace on this floor, a lot of opportunity to express oneself in a different way. And we trust that will be your experience, as you start this journey on this level in life. And also today happens to be Bimbola's 10th wedding anniversary. So you can see that we have a packed one today, because this is someone who is enjoying a graceful, giftful week, and she's taking time out to be here with us. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to all the wonderful things you have for us tonight. So let's start here. And this is what I always tell all our guests, all right? We want to know you. Now, we want to know you in a unique way tonight. So tell us unique things about yourself. Tell us things that we have to probably be friends with you for a long time to even have an idea. So give us that gist. Let's start from there.
Funny enough, you don't have to be a friend with me for a long time to know about me. I don't know, God has given me that grace to be able to share with people so easily, So let me start on that note. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me on this show. My name is Abimbola Bodude. For people who might have known me before, I used to be Abimbola Ayodele, but now Bodude. And like she said, I've been married for 10 years, but born, raised, schooled, everything, Nigeria. So I'm a Nigerian girl. Maybe that's why I'm wearing green, white, green today, School, I went to Ife, that's Obafemi Awolowo University. And I studied political science. So I love government. If you don't know anything about me, I still want to be the president of Nigeria. Yes. A lot of people don't know that I really like politics. I'm a community person. I like to, so whatever space I get into, if anything is not working, so I'm looking at what is not working here. Do we have recycling in place? Is is the water system here working very well? So I'm just a community person. I like things to work. So in terms of career, I started out, as with every Nigerian, I did my NYSC at, in a bank, even though I didn't study anything finance, but I did something administrative, not anything banking, seriously. From there, after my NYC, I worked with MTN Nigeria. That was my first work. So life started at that time. It's really, struggles with so many things started at that time with me. But then after about 5 years, I then got married. So if you look at it, I'm 40 years, celebrating 10 years. So that means I got married at 30. So in case you don't know that, I married at 30 years.
Yes.
And what else? So at that time, I had to resign because I guess I was tired of the work. And I went to do MBA. And I wanted to be, at that time, I made up my mind that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But I really don't know what I wanted at that time. So so the journey into entrepreneurship started around that time after doing MBA. So from there, I think, let me just stop. I mean, other questions will still come.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. I want to ask, though, that at what point did you become clear that you wanted to do political science? Because you're the first female person that I'm meeting in real life. I might know one or two other people that I've forgotten right now, but that I can remember clearly at this moment who has done something political and actually did it in college, right? So what made you, what stirred that interest for you? And what was it like, telling your parents you wanted to go in that direction?
No, I didn't tell my parents the truth. So what happened is this. I think for a long time, like when I was in secondary school, I really did not know what to. I knew I wanted to be a lecturer because first, from way back, I really like to teach and all of those. So I wanted to be a lecturer, but I really did not. There was really nobody in my space to guide me. So I grew up. First, there was no father figure, so to speak, in my life at all. And then, so there was really nobody. Everything I knew was just the little my mother knew about schooling, and she was a primary school teacher, so I didn't really know much. But, I had this thirst for knowledge, but I didn't look for older people to teach me and all of that. And, so I guess in secondary school, I liked bookkeeping and account, government and English. Those were and economics. So I was in social sciences. So I wanted to do either accounting or something, but I wasn't really clear. So it was just a struggle. And so I think I just went with the flow of my results, JAMB and everything. But
Wow.
Going to IFE was the thing about my story. I don't know how I got this idea about IFE. And by myself, I entered BOS and I went to IFE and I saw this beautiful campus. And I'm like, I'm coming to this school. So I went back home. So admission, the year I was to go to IFE, the admission was really difficult. So I had to just struggle to get into political science. So I think I didn't choose it. It chose me.
Awesome.
So
That's an interesting angle, because I know that a lot of parents, tend to get a bit concerned when their kids are getting to the age of trying to decide, what program to go into school for. And we think it's a make or break thing. I know that in the Nigerian context, it could look that way because you can't really have a combination of minors and majors like you do in most of the schools. You don't really have that mix. So people always think that you have to go in for the right thing because you want to position right for the future. So it's interesting that you made the decision yourself. I mean, I think we're even already getting into the gist for today. It's interesting that you made
the decision to go to IFE about the course. Really,
that was what you got. That was what you found to do at that time. And
yes.
What was it like for you then, having the first lectures and then discovering what you had got yourself into? What was it like? Was it like a shock culture? Were you shocked? Or you were like, this is good?
So for me, getting into the course or school?
Getting into that, the program and finding out that that was the kind of, maybe the content you were going to be having from the lecturers. What was it like for you? Were you like, oh, this is what I expected it to be, or you were shocked?
Strange. It wasn't strange. And so I don't know, I don't want to go into too much story because there was, so I just remember that something had happened, but maybe I don't know if I should let that pass or talk about it. So the year I got into Ife, admission was 60-40. They had piled up some people at home. So they were waiting. I think they had about 2 or 3 JAMB sets to attend to at the same time. So I was one of these. So what they did is to give a particular set 60% of the admission and another set. You know, there had been strike in Nigeria, and so 2 JAMB had, you know.
Yeah.
So they needed to do something about it. So eventually they gave me education, to study education. Okay. You know, the stories, now I look back, I said, probably God wanted education for me, but I rejected it. Because everything I had done afterwards was towards the initial course.
Exactly.
That I was given. So they gave me social studies education. I'm like, social studies education, who does that? What is that? You mean after this whole thing, I should go back and be teaching social studies? It's not going to work.
Yes.
Well, I took the admission. I didn't want to go back home because imagine we had done JAM, and a lot of things had happened at that time. And just we needed to, like, you know, go to school. So I took the admission. I did well, but I took another JAM while I was in school. And I also, you know, did very well. So, but at that point, I was clear. I didn't want accounting or any of those I wanted before that. I think social studies had a bit rubbed off on me. So I wanted international relations. But I think being fair in administration, you only have accounting and international relations and both were very, what's this thing called? Too many people wanting, you know, those courses. And so my mentor called me, now don't just struggle. International relations is actually a branch of political science. So it's like taking the parent rather than the child. So it's better you come to political science. I mean, people like the name international relations, but this is actually the parent's course to international relations. So I'm like, that's fine, let's do it. But that education, I'm not going to do it. But afterward, I've done so many social work and all of that. I'm like, maybe God actually wanted that for me, you know, but I rejected it. I went for political science. So when I got into political science, I had been in school a year ahead. Do you understand? So the courses were not strange. And maybe another thing I need to tell people about myself, by the time I was getting into political science, I had all A's effortlessly. Like, I was like on 5 points in my first year. Wow. So that made me graduate well eventually, you know.
Fantastic.
So that was my story.
That is interesting because I already hear, I know that working with people in transition is something that I'm really very fond of. And so hearing you talk about, you know, the considerations of political science, social studies education, and then international relations and everything is like, you would have had a conflict of trying to make a decision at some point, and then you eventually found your footing. But we would come to this education thing at the end, because I know very much that is what you have put your feet into. Not just your feet, your body, your mind, your everything.
Anything education is me.
I know. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. But let's just still touch a bit on your growing up and childhood a bit before we go into that gist. So if you look at the different phases of your life, let's just categorize it into 3. Pre-teens, that was when you were in probably elementary and primary school, or when you were a teenager, or when you were actually on campus in Ife, like you said, you went to Ife. Which part of your life at this point would you say was the most memorable? And what event would make you say that season of your life was really something significant that you would never forget? In fact, you tell your kids about the story all the time.
Funny enough, I've not really been telling them stories about my past, about my childhood, because I think looking back now, it's not really I didn't grow up in an ideal, environment. So this young woman, the woman that gave birth to me, married a man, and then had the four of us, and the man disappeared. So after a while, our mom, that's my grandmother now, had to come to where we were and say, enough, there's no husband here. And this place is far from home. And at that time, my mom only had standard 6. So in those days you could use standard 6 to work. So she was already working as a primary school teacher. So at that point, they told her, you need to go back to school. Since there's no husband, you have 4 children. You need to take care of these 4 children. I'm the second one. So we were all under 10 at that time. So she took all of us back to our father's house. So I've not really called my children to start telling them all of this, because that was not really an ideal something. So I really don't talk about it so much to them. Maybe now that we're talking about it, maybe I need to, or maybe when they grow older, I don't think they can understand. It was really, so that time was interesting for me when they took us from where we were living back to my grandfather's house now. So my grandmother had a room. My mom had another room. I don't know. I remember that house. There were uncles, aunties, everywhere jam-packed. So it was interesting for us because we were the only Christian. My mom was a Muslim before she got married at that time. So we were the only Christian. So we would do Christian, Christmas, Easter, all of those. Then plenty Muslim. You know how Muslim, when is Ileya and all those things. So it was really, so we were going from, as we are finishing Easter, one Muslim Ramadan or something is coming. So everybody then, 2, it was a large family. So there were plenty uncles and aunties everywhere. Then my mom went to school, my grandmother. Till now, I'm still looking for someone as good human, like she was like an angel. So this woman really took care of us. So that time was interesting for me because we were supposed to be poor children. We were supposed to be no father, mother should be struggling and all of that. But for a reason or the other, now looking back, there was no time in my life that I had suffered, even though the story is like it should be suffering.
Yeah.
So sometimes I look at it, I cannot remember a time that they did not have money to buy Christmas food for us. It's not possible.
Wow.
As in the Muslim things too, we would have things to wear, things to eat. And I think that was the reason is at that time, my mom was the last of that family. The first was already blessed. So the first was already taking care of the mother. And the first was even the one that said, please go and get my sister from whoever she was married to that does not stay at. Do you understand? Yeah. So we didn't know. So the uncle, that's my uncle now, would have sent money for school fees, feeding. So I did not know suffering. There was no, even though there was no father, we were living in very large family house, but we were just having fun. We watch TV, go to school, do all those, even though we went to public school, but life was just good. So I remember that time that it was a good time for me because we didn't suffer. There was no time we suffered. And then my grandmother died, which would have been like a setback. So I also transitioned to another phase of my life. So I remember that time very well, and I like it. I am really, anytime I remember, I'm like, God, I'm grateful, even though we should have suffered, but for a reason or the other, you had put people, uncle, auntie, whoever, to help us with education, help my mom. She eventually went for NC, and life was just good. So I'm grateful for that time.
Fantastic. I mean, yours is probably one of the first that I've heard. I even see someone on Facebook saying that he can relate to the experience you had growing up here. FolaFayo, thank you for sharing that. It's kind of unique for me hearing this, and I'm hoping that someone who would be listening to the podcast version of this live session would also realize that many times we could miss out the sources of, or rather, let me not use the word sources, because there's one major source, and that's God. However, the way in which he blesses us is that he creates channels. So what I hear you saying is that you always had a channel of supply at some point in your life, even if that season one would have said, oh, I didn't expect that you would have this. Somehow the provision came, and it came just, adequately for you guys, because you were children, and kids don't want to know how something is coming, right? They just expect that you should be there. They expect that you should be there when they need it, and you had that growing up. So I really I join your heart today to bless God for making that a decent part of your childhood, and thank you for sharing that. So now I can almost tell how you would predict, or how you would describe the word thriving from what you just told us, right? But I don't want to preempt it, all right? I want you to tell us yourself, knowing what you know today and the kind of experiences you've gone through in life, if you were going to describe or define thriving, what would you say thriving is to you?
I think even me, Abimbola, I think my name should change to thriving. Like, while I was sharing that story, I just remember that I have thrived all my life, actually. Even when I think even me, Abimbola, I think my name should change to thriving. But, I don't know, I can hear myself. It's something echoing.
I'm trying to mute the sound. Sorry. Yeah, let's go back.
So I would say thriving means to prosper, prospering, like flourishing, like things going on well with you, making, like someone said recently, like it's about making consistent progress all the time. You understand what I mean? And on the other thing that I said, that God has always made me thrive. I don't know how he does it, but one thing, and he knows, I'm always grateful to him for that. So, I mean, prospering, taking, everyday progress, flourishing. For me, that's what thriving means,
Wow, that's good. And we can actually see from you what we see right now.
Let me tell you a story now.
Okay.
So my mom told me that I was born at home.
Oh, wow.
So she had packed her bag to go to the hospital because I was already coming. So she was rushing to go. I just came out at home. So when I came out, and everybody in the neighborhood rushed, and I told you, my father was never there. So it was a thing of, my mom will get pregnant, the man will be gone, and the man will come back. I don't know, it was a messy thing for her, but then God saw her through. So people had to come and rush to help her. And so she told me that day, so using Nigerian current currency now, to say that she had about maybe 200 naira with her. And then before the end of that day, she had about 20,000 or thereabout. Now people were just coming to donate, and that by my naming ceremony, it was like a carnival. So I think that. So if you are really looking for thriving, my name is. There's a way the devil will not want you to admit that you are thriving.
Yeah.
But I think I've thrived all my life,
Awesome.
with God meeting all my needs at every point in time.
Yeah, I love the way you said it now. I love the way there's something I always try to do, when I have one-on-one sessions with clients, and they say things, and I'm like, do you realize that being aware of what you just said now is a thing of strength? Because now you're staying at this point in your life, and you're saying that I think I've always thrived all my life, because like you said, there would be times when things look seemingly tough. And forget that you've had the capacity to thrive in previous seasons.
That's right.
And then you're getting all flustered that, oh, I don't know what's going on now. But, being able to tell yourself now that, Abimbola, look at every season you've gone through. Somehow you've thrived. So notwithstanding what you go through today, you can lean on that. And that's really always what I stress as making possibility contagious. So if you're someone who is, watching in today, I think this is probably something that we all can look back on and say that there would have been a season in our lives where we were thriving. And we need to appreciate that time. So if it was one that was just for a brief moment, or one that lasted even longer than we thought it would last, and we had that blessing of favor and comfort, it's something for us to be able to hold on to, and be able to appreciate very well. So I'm looking at the time and I'm like, hey, we're supposed to get a lot of gist from you tonight, but it looks like some gist are going to be handled differently. But just before we round off tonight, I think I still have about 2 or 3 questions for you. I know that you've been with Cedar, Thrive Like Cedar, for quite a bit, and I know that you have, had some experiences with some of the resources we've had. We want to hear, which one would you say has been the most impactful resource you've engaged in, and what exactly did you get from it? What was it like for you before the resource, and then what do things look like now after that resource?
Okay, thank you very much. So one of the things I guess I didn't do early in my life is engaging coaches. So I didn't do that. So please, I'm on a call, please. So looking at where I came from, my background and all of that, because there was really nobody to tell one what to do. I was just doing things. I was just like, oh, this is the next call, let's do it. But I wasn't really, there's this saying that whatever you focus on expands, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the things that were, for example, there were things that I really focused on, and the results are showing right now. Do you understand? And then there are certain other things that now I'm thinking back, I'm like, so I tell people, if something is not working in your life, go and get someone who knows about it to teach you. You don't have to. So they know me in my space. I don't joke with books or coaches or people can, help me to get to the next level, because I know I suffered that growing up. So I tell people. And for my children, I said, even if you don't know how to dress, how to look good, find somebody who knows it. They will teach you how to combine the things together. Do you understand? Anything whatsoever. So for coming on the program, for the mastermind program, I think that's the one there were things that I got from that program that even every day it's almost like things that I live by. Or sometimes I'll just remember some of the words, the creative plane. I'll just smile and say, oh, we are there. I know what that means or something. Remember, I told you something. I said, good always come to me. It's part of the thing I told you about thriving now.
Yeah.
Always, all of my life. In fact, people will come here and say, some of my friends, they'll say, please, what are you complaining about? Are you okay? So when you taught me about the creative plane was when I realized that it's probably the reason good come to me, because I am someone, like I told you, I'm a community person. Like anywhere I get to, I want things to work. So if you want things to work, things must work in your, and I do it from the bottom of my heart. Like I don't just do things for doing things. And also there was a time of my life that I was a teenager. I left my mom to go and live with family. And I gave my whole. So from that, I think about from 16 to 30 years, till I got married. That should have been the most useful time of my life. To focus on the things I wanted to do. But because of the nature of who I was, and I still am, when I'm serving with the whole of my heart. Like, I know I served. I call her my second mom. She was still here. She wanted to cry when she was praying for me on my 40th birthday. Like, she said she served me. So I served, and I think what you were now explaining to me was, I realized that I do things for people from the bottom. People are taking advantage of me before, like but then I just do things for people. I do, and I don't know if it's the scriptures that have guided that aspect of my life, or so I just do things from my heart. I don't do things for you to pay me back or to expect returns. And then I'm a very compassionate person. Even, I mean, when I was young, I remember I would go to the market, I see somebody selling okra. And I look, we didn't have so much in our, it's not as if I came with bullion value, but I see this woman selling okra. I would mentally calculate that all this okra that this woman is selling cannot be more than 100 naira.
Mm-hmm.
So my own contribution to that woman that day will be, I will make sure I'm not going to start what's this thing, bargaining to say, can you sell it 5 naira? So my own contribution, let me buy it all like that, so that this woman can have something to feed her. I mean, when I was young.
Wow.
So I've always had compassion on the poor. I've always been, so good just come to me naturally. Like, I think when it's time to have this, God will just say, okay, it's time to have Mercedes. If it's tomorrow now, God says Mercedes or G-Wagon or whatever it is. It just shows up in front of my house, and I'm not doing Yahoo or anything.
I know.
You understand what I mean? So it was when you taught me on that program that I realized that all of the things I've been doing all this while was because I've been on that plane, on wanting good for other people, wanting to, do you understand? So now it's also, I'm not going to relent on doing, that's my life. I know. My husband knows. My husband will say, you can carry the money in this house. And to tell you, I may not buy clothes for myself. I know how much I give people every month, because you cannot tell me about your problem. It has become my problem. Do you understand that kind of a thing? Yeah. So, I mean, I really like that. You may not know, but that did something for me, because sometimes I'm afraid that, hey, this thing that God is doing for me, I hope no bad thing is now not going to happen later. But now I'm happy to enjoy all of the goodness of God, because I think it's from something that I'm doing somewhere. It's the same thing happening. I tell people, if every Nigerian is like me, Nigeria cannot be like this. Exactly. If you think about other people, you are not selfish. Nigeria cannot be. I think about it, even in driving, in everything. I just think about the next person. Like, we cannot do it this way, and you think life will be okay for everybody. So I really like that about the program. And then I like the fact that there were many concepts. You had your program is so that you have concepts for, you have laws, you have when you teach certain things at different times. So those things, even, and let me tell you something, there may be things that one already knows, but the way you have structured them, so we know where to put what. So one does not really easily forget. So that was so good for me, because now I know where to, like, let me even show you. I have all my thriving papers and all of the things I feel. So it's right beside me here. It's not something that I have to go and pull for somewhere, because sometimes I just remember something, read it somewhere. I just go to where, and then I pull it out. I try to read whatever we discussed, or whatever I do you understand? Yeah. So I remember this is the same book I was using to talk in all my papers and all of that at that time, So I mean, you helped my thoughts. Then you remember when you taught us about that, whatever we are doing, like if you say you want to change now, it is not that habit you are going to change first. You said it's 4 layers. Habit is the upper one. Then there's a third layer, there's a second one. That the first one you have to go to, I think that's the third level. Yeah. To change that, if you don't change that, you cannot go and change the 4th level up there. Yeah. So those are the things, like, we can read it, change your habits. Habit is this. You understand? But you had concept, you have put them in concepts, and you have narrowed them to something simple that everybody. I know about the laws of the universe, but the way you taught it that time, really stuck with me. That, you remember when you taught one of the laws that you said, what you attract in the world. So the classes were so lively. The classes were so, you can't forget. And it's the reason I really, it's one of the things that really gave me that shift, because I'm remembering those concepts. It's almost like sometimes I remember how the class went, and I'm like, I will even remember some of the names of people, Loladi and all of those people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this thing. So I'm grateful, and you know, it was a good time. And
Awesome.
it's really helped me, especially in my thought life,
Yeah.
and in certain things that I was going through
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah, I'm so excited hearing this feedback from you. Not just because of how you were able to, be a part and all the kind of experiences we had, but the way you have also applied it and that you're also able to talk about this. This is a year after, Abimbola. This is not something that we had a few months ago. This is a full year after, right? And for those who don't know anything about this Thrive Mastermind group, we just have one of our team members put up a link on it now on the Facebook group so that you can just check it out. But I'm so excited hearing about how you found the program and how it has helped you shape your thoughts, because you said something, you might want to change certain things in your life, but if you're not even addressing the thought level, then you're not going to make any progress at all. And you've said a lot of incredible things. But I think where I want to applaud you is something you said at the beginning, where you said you did not even appreciate, what it takes for one to say, I don't know this thing. And that's really what you're teaching your kids now, to say, if you don't know this thing and there's someone that knows it, look for someone that can help you. Why are you giving yourself stress? Let someone help you, and yes. I'm really happy to hear that you are not just someone who's teaching that, but you're someone who is also experiencing that, and you're taking that on in your life. And considering what you said about Nigeria, I would say Bimbo for president. As soon as you start your campaign, you can be sure that there are some fun people that are here to support that campaign, because we know that you will definitely be a heart that will change the country. So we look forward to your active involvement in the government. And I know that you're already doing something at the grassroots level. So we look forward to hearing about that in the future. So that means that you're coming back again to Thriving Thursday. So maybe that will be when you are going for House of Rep or, the Senate, or I can't wait for that time. I can't wait for that time. But just before we let you go today, I see you're wearing a green shirt. And the green shirt has something written on it: great body, great mind, company. Awesome. But I know that that's not the only thing that you're doing now, because we know you eventually launched the See the Future initiative. And we know you won't have time to tell us about both of them. So which one would you say is your heart? Which of these two would you say is your number one? I know both of them. I know, like left and right, the left and the left.
As in, the two of them, because everything is about, you see this great body, great mind.
Yeah.
A lot of people are dying in this world.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just look at people, I'm like, for real? So look at it. I told you about my mom. Yeah. With all of the things that woman did to raise the four of us, she struggled to raise us. Like, she did everything. You remember that I said we were living in a very crowded environment when we were young? There were abuses, like people that will call you, I want to be rubbing your no breast, oh. Uncles that want to put their hands in our bum when we were little. We experienced abuses. But my mom made sure that she did everything to how did they say that thing? Like mother hen. She knew that the environment wasn't conducive for us, especially myself and my sister. Then we are two boys and two girls. So she did all of that. When we were going to secondary school, she shipped us to boarding school. She knew that environment was not. Then my mom was always taking us to church. That was when this, if you know me, that I'm a very spiritual person, it started from that time. Because she also saw that, what can I do to shield these children from this overcrowded environment? Because there was nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So started taking us to church. We were going to church. So that was where my own spiritual life started. But the thing I want to say about is that by the time she retired at, I think, 60 years, she's now like 66. So for the last 6 years, my mom has been very ill. Oh, diabetes and hypertension. So it made me realize that you can be good, though. You can be the best person in the world. If you don't eat right, you are going to be sick.
Yeah.
If you don't do the right things, like me now, I don't let negativity stay on this edge. There's no room for negativity in my life. Yeah. So I teach people to have great body. I'm 40 and I think I look great because I eat right.
You look amazing.
So our experience is making me to know that you can be the best in the world. If you don't take care of it, you are going to be sick. So it's a message that I've not really packaged very well, but I'm going to package well to say, hey, all of the way you are living your life right now, by the time you are you are 50 something, as you are approaching your 60, life will start handing you over the report card of how you have lived your life.
True.
In my family, I look at all of the people that are in their 60s now, and I'm just like watching them. People that were uncles that were bad, they started collecting their report card. The Bible says, seed time and harvest shall not, it's a law.
Yeah.
People that did not train their children, they are reaping it.
Yeah.
People that were smoking and all of those things, they are at home now. People are now saying, oh, uncle, this is sick and all of that. My mom didn't live a very reckless life. The only thing is that she didn't know much about food. And probably she ate too much carbohydrate, sugar, and all of that, you know. And I'm so not happy about it for her. Yeah. But again, I see that if she doesn't know about this positivity thing, because she can also still have those things and live right with them. She's not taking, that's another story. But what I'm saying is, you need to take care of yourself, is the story. Yeah. And I have a page for that. And that is, you know, I have so many, I'm trying to put up my courses to teach people how to do all of this thing, what to eat to be great. And I don't do too much exercise. There's no, so that's on one hand. So this is there
but just before you go to see the future, we would like to, I know you're saying you're still trying to package, but based on what you've said now, and I think what a lot of people will connect with is when they look at their parents or grandparents today, they will probably be able to say, oh, I wish I could do this for my mom or my dad. I wish they had made this decision. So as soon as whatever you have in the works, I would say work in progress right now, whatever you have in the works is ready. I know you're a member of CEDA. Please just share the link on the platform for us. Otherwise, even today or tomorrow, share the link. I'm sure some people will be keeping a tab for when the release that. I mean, I don't want to miss it because it's a really good concept. And I like what you said, that you can be good. You said your mom was good. Your grandma was. You know, you have people who
for people.
Yes. Yeah.
She served God.
Exactly.
That's the funniest thing. She served God. Yeah. Like my mom served God. But see, I said, so one of my messages is that please don't go and be disturbing God about divine healing when you should have done the right.
Yeah, that's right.
So we are taking this program to churches, to everything. Don't come and be asking God to heal what you should have lived right, you know.
Yeah.
And all of that.
That means we are probably going to be one of the first to book you to come and talk to us about this, because today has been a mix of a lot of things that you learned in life and experienced. But knowing that this is a niche that you are passionate about because of the experience you have, we probably want you to come back and talk to us about this, because you're right. You can be good, yet you can
be a pastor.
Exactly. You can be a pastor yet suffer in your body. So it's good to have that balanced part. So now I understand why it's also a passionate part for you. Yes. So let's hear about the second one, the See the Future.
So the second thing that I'm also interested in is See the Future. I also believe that we all came to this world with nothing. Like when a newborn is giving birth to, it's almost like an empty slate with nothing. So I imagine a situation where in Nigeria, as of today, I went to public school and I think school was great. Another thing that people don't know about me that I would like to leave here today is I've never cheated in any exam before. I don't cheat. So I study before exams and then I write whatever I know. And I think God has been, and I went to a public school. So I see the public schools we have now. And I mean, I've been on this journey since 2017. When you encounter in fact, you can't take your enemy to any public school in Nigeria. It's so terrible. So you see a young child just coming to the world with nothing written on that slate of their minds. These people are not from good homes, because anyone still going, if you see any pupil in Nigerian public schools, because they don't have money. If you can afford 10,000, you would rather go and look for a private school that pays, even if it is 2K. There are some private schools, they collect money every day. Like, let your parent be bringing 50 naira, just for people to have education.
Wow.
But if you see anyone in public school, meaning that, you see that the parents don't even understand what education is, they just say, go. Even if they have the money, not so much, but you know that they don't have so much. So, but now children will now, and look at a country where 70% of Nigerians are in that situation where the only thing they can afford for their children is that public school.
Yeah.
And that public school is nothing like there are people in primary 6 that cannot read. I'm not joking, no.
Wow.
I've been doing this since 2017 and I know what I'm talking about. In primary 6, and they will push them because they even have a system where you just go from the public school like that and to the secondary school, public secondary. So I have this passion that if 70% of your population are still interested, so there are even these people that are not going to school at all. They feel like there's nothing they are doing there. In fact, there are people in Nigeria that feel school is a scam. What are you going to, when you are even out, what are you using the education to do? I'm not even talking about those. I'm talking about, I have passion for small children who are just coming to the world. Their minds are so clean. Let's give them good education so that they can know their right from their wrong. The reason we have thuggery and all of those is because we have this there's this mass uneducated people in Nigeria. And you put people in that public school doing nothing. See, it's not the fault of the teachers. Apart from that's another issue where they don't have qualified teachers, but the number is not even there. I know of a school that the few teachers they have are even they are university graduate. I have seen them teach. It's not as if they don't know. But what can 4 teachers do for 200 pupils? It's not going to work. So it's a layer. There are so many problems around education in Nigeria. From the environment is not conducive. The teachers are not trained. There are not enough hands for schools in Nigeria. It's just, so for me, it's just, can we have where there's an environment where in every school, we have enough teachers, we have good classrooms, minimum. I'm not even asking for too much, minimum. So we do advocacy on one side to tell government to say, hey, this is it. Then on the other hand is what can we do to help the ones we can help? So take, for instance, my focus is reading. Even if you don't even know anything, if they write a Greek science and write, you should be able to read it and write it in your notes. But if you cannot read at all, my dear sister, what are you doing in school? So we set up literacy, we set up libraries for them to be able to, so phonics, sometimes we engage volunteers to teach them how to be able to put all of those phonetic sounds together. And I also see government are also taking up that initiative now to introduce phonics to public primary school. But hey, we just have to keep talking so that something can be done. And in our own little corner, last week, okay, so let me tell you one of the things we are doing now. One of our projects is, because I'm turning 40, or I've turned 40, I was turning it, now I'm in. So we decided in the initiative that we're going to make available 40 bookshelves or start a library in schools where there are no libraries at all. So the first one we have done, thankfully, there was a library. But if you look at the library, honestly, I think I'm going to go back to that school. I will have the photographer, if we have a picture of that library. All of the other shelves that were there before are books that are meant for teachers. There was no school book for pupils. So if you look at our own shelf, you will now see storybooks of, colorful books. The kids were so excited because now they have things they can read and all of that. So as we are teaching them phonics, how to put words together, then we have age-appropriate novels. There are some for nursery and primary 1, 2, and so forth, and so on and so forth. And so these kids can go to the library, pick these books, and we also beg the teacher. They can have they can turn their free, free time to a time where you just take the kids to the library, you get books, they read. Sometimes let them look at the pictures, let them just have fun. That's how school should be. Not all those big books that they put in the library for who? Is it for children? So these things are big things that, but I've decided to just take it one step at a time, and we are going to get there.
You will get there. So as you're talking right now, you're reminding me of a passion I also have for libraries. I also have a passion for libraries. I've had the privilege of actually having our kids go to libraries in one city that we've had a holiday once, and then that basically just puts an inspiration in me that we are lacking a lot in the country. And that I can imagine if we had, corner libraries like this everywhere where kids can just pop in, then all this thuggery, like you said, probably would be reduced, because kids naturally, those that love to read, they have options, right? And they have things that they can go to do in the library, because the library doesn't even, the one that I'm talking about, it wasn't even only books that they were lending the kids, they were lending them toys as well. So it was a fantastic place, So I know that I would definitely not be the only one listening in today who is like, wow, I might not be able to start something, Bimbola, I would like to partner. So I'm sure that there will be people who are thinking, okay, I don't have the funds, but I think I can create time once in 2 weeks, once a month, to join you to, go to the school. I like to teach people to read too. Maybe I could try it out. So I know we may not have the opportunity now on this call to get the details, but if there's a link or there's a place where we can get this information, see the future. Do you currently have a website at the moment or a handle on any social media platform?
We have a website, but some of our, so the way I'll put it is, we are just about now starting seriously. Okay. So we have a website, www.seethefutureinitiative.org. And but this week, so the one we had last week, the website guy is going to start loading them, so you can actually see what we did last week. Yeah, we have stories on the website. We have a few funding, the things we want to do, but I would say seriously
that definitely means that this is the right time to support you, because sometimes we are waiting for
we have 39 schools to go.
Yeah. So this is the right time, even now, so that by the time we start seeing change, we'll be like, I remember See the Future when they didn't even have a website that had all their pictures yet. We were one of the first people to partner with them. So I think if anyone is interested in anything around great body, great mind, or you are someone who is passionate about health, or you're someone who is passionate about education, you want to volunteer your time, or you want to contribute financially, because this is a great cause. I have seen some of the pictures, I tell you. Then you definitely want to read Bimbola herself, and then she will be able to give you, whatever answers you need on how you can support them. We are short on time, but we don't want you to leave us without giving us a final word. What will be your final word for us tonight? Because we've enjoyed some of the things you've dropped today. I'm just like, okay. So, but leave us with something special on this final note.
I'll say the word that I said the other time, or the statement that I said, whatever you focus on, expand. So I think the thing that I've focused, I'm now 40. There's something I've focused on all my life, but no time to share. But that's just a summary of everything tonight, that whatever you focus on. So for the next 10 years, I'm going to be focusing on all of these things that we are talking about. And I'm sure God is going to blow them out of here.
Indeed, it is going to expand. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. There have been a lot you've shared with us today. In fact, what I normally do in the past is, as my guest shares their story, I pick out some things, but today I'm like, no, I'm not even doing that. I just want to hear you, so that everybody can go back and listen to the replay. So if you're listening to the replay on the podcast, or you're watching the replay on the YouTube channel or on Facebook, please just give us a hashtag replay. And if you need to reach Abimbola, what's the surname? You corrected me with this surname right now,
Bodude.
Yes, you need to look for her she's on Facebook, and she's on Instagram, and you are on LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn as well?
Yes, I am. I am on LinkedIn.
So if you are more of a professional person, you're like,
Abimbola Bodude.
And if you're saying, no, I'm only on LinkedIn, just look for her. She's also there. She's waiting for you. She's waiting for you to come and join these initiatives. And with a lot of us, coming to this phase in our lives when we're like, we want to do more, but we don't necessarily want to start our own thing, but we're ready to partner. Then, these are the initiatives you should be thinking out, to considering to partner with. Thank you so much, Bimbola, for being with us.
Thank you.
This is once again wishing you a happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Anniversary, and may God continue to expand powerfully these things that you're going to be focusing on in the next decade of your life. God bless you. Thank you for joining us. And
Thank you. Thank you
everyone for joining us on another session tonight. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and stay blessed. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.